So here's what's next. Okay, here are the 3-phase approach that I take to having a presentation with an investor. Okay, so here's my quick overview slide. Part 1 is my 30-second elevator pitch. And this is really what I say to everyone to try and set up a meeting. Okay, then the next part, I'm actually at the meeting now, and I'm gonna go over the business plan, right? My business plan overview. This is me showing them that their money is gonna be safe. Then the third part, at the same meeting or potentially later, I'm going over my financials. I'm giving an overview. I'm talking about how it's a great win for them, how they're gonna be a part of this deal in some way, and they're gonna make great money. So really, that's my 3-part. I just kind of wanna make it so simple, right? You can memorize these 3 parts. If you want to, I can email you the slides. And it's really just these 3 things. So let's go through them one at a time. Now, my first part, right? My elevator pitch. And like I said, the goal of this is to get the next part, right? It's going to go move from part 1 to part 2, from part 2 to part 3, from part 3 to an actual offer, right? That's really my goal through this whole thing. So I'm going to start at the beginning, right? I'm going to start at phase 1. And that's my elevator pitch. And I'm trying to get them to be interested. So that's part of the reason why I say memory care mansion instead of assisted living facility. Assisted living facility sounds bleh, like that sounds super lame. But memory care mansion, you're like, oh, that's intriguing. What's that, Brett? I'm literally trying to like grab you, like, hey, like here's my hook. Like, oh, you got a mansion and it's for memory care? Is that for seniors with dementia? Like, I'm trying to say things that are very intriguing. So my whole goal here is to tell really everyone about this. Like literally people at the grocery store, in line, people at the gym, people at my church, friends, family. I am trying to bring in my little elevator pitch anywhere I can. And I'll literally just kind of like set up conversations. So one of my favorite ones is when it's like, you know, getting close to the end of the year or it's now January and everyone's talking about New Year's resolutions or goals or something like that, right? I'll say, you know, I'll ask them a question. Hey, what are your goals? Right? And then usually they follow up, oh, you know, what are your goals, Brett? And one of my favorite things to say is, oh, you know, this is a few years ago. Oh, you know that my goal is to open my own assisted living? And they're like, what? I didn't know that. Like, are you serious? And then boom, like I go right into my elevator pitch. I'm trying to set things up, even now, right? I'm like, we'll be at HEB and gosh, we're getting something. We're having like a Thanksgiving party or something for all the grandmas. We had all this stuff. They're like, oh, you having a party for your, you know, whatever they said. I'm like, oh no, this is for a bunch of grandmas. They're like, huh? And like, boom, like right, elevator pitch, right? Like you can find some little thing to say to pretty much anyone, anywhere you go that you can weave this back to here's my elevator pitch. When I'm doing this, I'm really never going out and directly asking for any money. I want to be very low pressure and I want to be kind of just intriguing. So everything that I do is very much like, you know, hey, when I do my elevator pitch, right? And I'll give you my example in a minute here. When I do my elevator pitch, I'm never asking them if they want to invest, right? That's kind of high pressure. I want to be very casual. And so, you know, I'll you know, work something in and be like, oh yeah, you know, what we do is we build memory care mansions and we take care of seniors. Our whole niche is to have all the care and amenities you can get at one of the big smelly facilities, but do it in like this custom, beautiful mansion that's built for end-of-life care. And, you know, we're building these in Georgetown. We just bought ground, you know, we bought 8 acres and we're going to be building a neighborhood of these. And, you know, I'm going through the plans and permits now, but I'm going to be talking to the bank and, you know, I'm going to be raising some money for this. Do you know anyone who'd be interested in this? And that's my elevator pitch. That's an example. I did not memorize that. I just said whatever came out, but it's some version of that every single time of here's what I'm doing. I'm specifically loading my elevator pitch with intriguing words because I don't want them to say, no, oh, that's cool, no, and then just like move on, right? Did you see the game yesterday? No, I'm trying to get them to like, really? Like, oh, that sounds super interesting. You're doing what? Like I'm you know, stoking this fire of like, oh, let's be curious, right? So use that principle there. It's a quick little thing. And then it's always very low pressure because I never say, hey, would you want to invest with me? How much money do you got? Like you got money sitting in an IRA. I can show you what to do with that. That's very high pressure stuff. I just want to say like, oh, here's what I'm doing. I'm really excited about this. We're going to be raising some money. Would you know anyone who'd want to partner with me? or I may say invest with me, invest, partner. You use whatever words you want to say. It doesn't really commit you to one way or the other. But this is what I'm trying to do. And I'm literally trying to say this everywhere, right? Everywhere. And because it's less about them. It's more about potentially who they may know, right? Because a lot of times it's going to be people, if someone's going to lend you 200 grand, it's going to be because they trust you, right? So they either know you and trust you, or they're going to be one person removed because their best friend knows and trusts you. And you'll be like, hey, yeah, I know Brett. I go to church with him. I know he's a man of God. I know he's got integrity. Why don't you go have a meeting with him? I know, you got money sitting in your IRA doing nothing, and you've been asking me what I can invest in. Why don't you go talk to Brett, right? Like that's literally people from our church. Laura's mom's best friend invested $700,000 with us, right? And so here, if I go back, that one right there on the left, 700 grand of that 1.1 million came from Laura's mom's best friend, right? He had her and her husband had their money sitting in their IRA doing nothing, making $0.0. Mm-hmm. So I was like, hey, I'm happy to help you out with that. And we paid him 12%. He was so stoked. So,
but hold on, sorry, let me chime in on that. So we actually never really talked about it in person with them, which is super funny. I mean, obviously I've known this woman for my whole life, but what was intriguing to them was the posts that I was posting on social media I wasn't talking about specifics on, money you can get, but I was talking about past deals. And they were intrigued by that. Like, I didn't know you guys took investors. And then once I started posting about, hey, we moved to Georgetown and we're going to be starting assisted living, I kept posting about it. I kept making videos. Even if it was something that I thought was lame and that people weren't going to like, I still posted about it. I was doing it every day. And so people just knew that I was the assisted living gal in Georgetown. And so they saw these videos continuously. And I think it took about like 5 or 6 times of them seeing it. They're like, okay, let's call them. And then they called us up and we had a meeting with them, and they were ready to go because they've known me. They have known me for a long time. So they know, like, and trust me. But then when they saw that they were going to be investing in something that was helping people, I think that was what really piqued their interest, and they were super intrigued by that. So talk about it everywhere. Like, honestly, if you say memory care mansion and assisted living and helping seniors, people are going to be all in. People would rather do that than invest in crypto or whatever other investment opportunities are out there. They want to have meaning behind their investments. And so making sure that you are giving them the opportunity, right? It's the opportunity that you are giving to them. So honestly, you're actually withholding an opportunity for them if you don't talk about it. So make sure you open your mouth, you talk to everybody that you possibly can, even if you think they're not going to be interested, or even if you think they don't have money. That's another exercise we did, was writing down, 30 people that we know. It doesn't matter if we think they don't have money or not, writing down these 30 people and making sure that we talk to them about investing in assisted living. So don't be scared, open your mouth. It takes time to get comfortable with it. The first few times you're probably going to stumble on your words, and that's okay. You have to start somewhere, right? Everybody starts at 0 followers, and they get there by actually putting themselves out there. So put yourself out there, talk to people, and you'll get there.
All right. So that's phase 1. My whole goal is to get to the next phase, right? And we talked about this a little bit. It's where I'm actually sitting down and having a meeting with them. So this is really how I like to do it. I like to do phase 2 and 3 separate from each other. They may go together, but I don't like to pressure things. If I want to give people the option to finish phase 2, ask them if they're into it or not. And then from there, I can move on to, talking about the numbers. And then from there, I'll ask permission again and be like, hey, are you into this? You want to hear some more? How would this work? And then I'll make the offer. So really at one meeting, right, I could do phase 2, 3, and potentially my offer, or I might just stop at phase 2 or maybe phase 2 and 3. So this is why I like to kind of structure it separate from each other and kind of give you a roadmap on it, because my whole thing is I want to be low pressure, and I don't want to be car salesman-y. And really, I'm just trying to say, like, hey, I have an opportunity for you here, and I know that I can help you make some money. And I know that while you are making money, we're going to do good things and really love and care for some seniors. And do you want to be a part of that? So my whole goal is to get them to this meeting, and it can be in person. I've done it at coffee shops. I've also done it on Zoom, and I'll just share my screen and go through the business plan. But this is really where I start. My business plan, again, we'll talk through it here, but I spend about 7, maybe 5 to 10 minutes talking through the business plan. And I literally don't go page by page through it. That's why I have these little tabs. I got 5 tabs on here. So I probably really only hit 5 things. And then from there, just let them ask questions. And then when I say, hey, what do you think? Do you want to see more on this? Do you want to talk more, or is this for you or not? And I let them decide, yes, hey, let's talk more on it. And then I'll move over to the next part, which is phase 3. Or I want to be low pressure and give them the option to say, Brett, this is just not for me. I don't think this is a good fit. And you're like, cool. And I'm not just pressuring them. So I'm talking about this business plan, right? You're like, Brett, what the heck is in this business plan? So let me just give you a couple highlights here. Okay. So my business plan, it's about 26 pages long, and I really want it to look impressive. That is one of my goals for this thing. So it's got the spiral bound, hardcover, glossy thing on the front. It has a picture of our mansion. At the time, I hadn't built this yet, so I think I had a ugly logo. It was actually pretty ugly, and we've gotten better since then. But hey, I took action, right? It got me the deal. I raised the $700,000 from that presentation. So really, even if you have an ugly logo like we did, it was really bad. Our logo is really beautiful now. But just take action, right? Like fail 100 times. If you keep failing, you get to 100, I guarantee you'll have succeeded by the time you get there. So let's see. Let me just give you a couple little highlights in here, right? So it's 26 pages. My whole goal is for it to look so impressive. I don't have to know all this stuff. There's a bunch of crap in here that I really, national statistics and stuff. So in the beginning, executive summary. Let's see what else. I had my mission statement, and then it talks about the market opportunity. So it starts talking about a national market opportunity. It starts talking about baby boomers, and then it switches. We're in Texas, so it switches to like a Texas market opportunity. What do the numbers look like there? What are the aging statistics? What are the incomes things? And then it moves into like a local market statistic. And this is all free information. Literally, you can Google it. All these statistics are online. Then it talks about what our niche is, right? The memory care mansion. What we were trying to do to offer all the care and amenities of the big smelly facilities. I want to beat the big smelly facilities at their own game, right? Provide better care, more love. Talk about a private pay model. Let's see what else. We talked about the services we provide, right? We talk about memory care, dementia. We talk about ADLs. We talk about everything that's there, the chef, the salon, the management, the staffing. We talk about what the costs are going to be. We talk about what our competition's costs are. I literally have, like, when I secret shop, I'll go and find the most applicable ones that are in my area, take pictures of it, or screenshot like the street view, put it on there and be like, hey, here are the closest competitors to me. They're charging this much, right? I know that my product's gonna be better than them. My service and care is gonna be better than them. Excuse me. So that's why I'm confident in these numbers. Here's what I can charge. I'm confident that I can charge, at that time it was, 5,000 to 6,000, and now it's closer to 8,000. But that's, whatever your market is. So that's really what's in my business plan, right? So I'll go through this, and I won't hit it too much because we talked about it already, but really I'm trying to go step by step through this. I'm using it as my roadmap. I'm putting the tags on there and just literally going through, okay, here's what's next, okay? Flipping the page, here's what's next. And I'm using it as my sales sequence or as my structure for my presentation. And every time I say something, I'm thinking about, how do I tell them that their money is safe, right? How do I tell them this is going to protect them? They're going to get their money back. So as I'm talking about like all these different things, the competition is this, right? They are charging $7,000 a month. They're smelly and gross and nasty and have a bad reputation. I've walked through there. It hurt my nose when I walked inside. Like, I'm literally saying, hey, so if they can keep full, then we're going to be better. So therefore your money is safe, right? That's really my whole goal over that like 5 to 10 minutes. And then I'm going to let them ask all sorts of different questions, and they'll ask all really just random stuff and good questions and whatever it is.
Side note, with the questions, if you don't know the answer, it's totally okay. I think that was one thing that we really stressed was like, oh my gosh, what if we don't know the answer to all the questions they have? That's okay. I think if you're honest, right? I think if your intention is honesty, they are going to feel that. They're going to know that. Just tell them you don't know that, and you'll get back to them with the answer to that. So don't be making up answers to try to sound like you're smarter in financial terms than you really are. There's a lot of answers I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Can you explain it to me? And so don't feel like you have to know everything, because you never will know everything. I mean, we're constant learners, right? We still don't know everything. We've been in this business for a long time and we're still learning. So just know that you don't have to have the answers to everything.
So like I said, I'm finishing that 5 or 10 minutes, letting me ask questions. And then really I'm deciding whether or not, or really I'm asking, right? I want to ask permission to move to the next thing. And because again, I'm trying intentionally not to be pushy and not to put pressure on. So I'm saying, okay, hey, what do you think, right? Do you like this? Do you want to hear more? And I think every time someone says yes, right? It's just kind of a common thing that people are going to say yes because they don't want to be rude. But then I also don't want to be rude, so I ask this thing anyways. So anyways, then I break out my financials. Oh, let me grab it. All right, so here's my financials. So same kind of thing. I like to keep it separate because this has changed like, I don't know, 5 or 10 times, right? Like every time before you're building your project, you get new numbers from your contractor, interest rate changes, all sorts of different things happen. Like you thought you were going to get one piece of one deal and then it doesn't work out. So now you're making an offer on a new property, right? Like I like to keep it separate because honestly, it was like $50 to print that business plan, right? On like the thick cardstock and laminate and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to do that over and over and over again, right? So I keep it separate so that I'm able to change my financials and my pro forma. So I'll go through, and again, I put tabs on this. So I'm trying to show them some of these things. And really what I'm trying to show them is that they are going to make great money and their money's gonna be safe. So with that, I'm literally pulling it open to specific tabs, right? I'm saying, okay, here is what it's gonna look like month 1 through 12, right? Well, I guess before that, here's what all my costs are. And sometimes you just don't know what the building cost is. You may, let's say you're gonna build new construction. You can kind of get an idea of what it is price per square foot. Right? For me here in Texas to build one of my memory care mansions, it's about $170 per square foot to build just the building. Right? So that I have the building, then I have the cost of land, and then I have the cost of the infrastructure, whether it's utilities or driveway or landscaping, things like that. So those 3 things, right? It put me at about $225 a square foot to build my memory care mansions. So I know what my numbers are, and you could learn some of these things or ask around to see what's going on in your area. But you're trying to figure out, okay, here's what it's going to cost me. Here's what the bank says they'll lend me. And so the difference is the gap, right? It's how much money I need to raise. So you're roughly determining how much money you need to raise. And you don't know specific, like down to like the thousands at that point, but you know probably to the tens of thousands what you need to raise, right? Is it 50,000? Is it 200,000? Whatever it is, right? And you're gonna know these things, and you can start with there, right? Okay, here's what we're doing. Here's the project cost. The bank's gonna lend this much, or at least loosely, you know that your bank's committed to they'll lend 80% or 90%, whatever it is. So now the math is okay. I need this extra 10%, right? 200 grand is what I need. So now I'm gonna say, okay, here's what I'm trying to raise. Here's what our product's gonna be like financially. Here's what it's gonna cost, and then I'm gonna show them. Here's what it looks like. Okay, from month 1, I'm going to projecting to be full by this much time, right? And we had almost all our deposits before we even got our license, right? We were full and had a wait list within like I think 90 days. We had a wait list starting. That's a whole different cock. But I want to show them month by month by month. Here's what it is. Here's our break-even month. Here's when we're profitable, right? Maybe it's month 2 or 3. Now we're making a profit. Here by month 6 or 9 or whatever it is, we are full. We are potentially stabilized, and here's what our stabilized profit means. So stabilized is a term that you use in the financial terms, meaning like everything is done, right? Like the building's done, you've filled up your beds, you're like done now. Sometimes it means you transition to a secondary loan or refinance to a stabilized loan. But people want to know, okay, you're out of your transition period. Now you're stable, right? Once you're stable, what do your numbers look like? So I want to show them like, hey, here's what my numbers are looking like. With this vacancy, which is normal, I'm projecting to make this, right? I'm projecting, 30 grand a month, 40 grand a month, whatever it is that you're looking to make on this deal. And so I want to show them that it's a fantastic deal. It's a home run. It's pretty much a no-brainer, right? Like, where are you going to get this kind of margins? And again, with the luxury memory care mansion, you can. A lot of these other deals, I don't see that same home run kind of deal. But then I also want to say, okay, that's what I'm projecting. Then I want to go above it and I want to go below it, right? So I'll say below it first, right? Like, what is my worst case scenario? If things go really bad, if I am sick and I'm just screwing up or something, I miscalculated some of these things, what would my break even be, right? Now, I'm projecting to say my bed rates are 6,500, right? What would happen at 6,000? If I could only charge 6,000, right? If I missed it by $500, what would happen, right? Would we still make money? Will we still make money at 5,500, right? I will literally take the scenario, put it in the Excel, print it at a worst case scenario and show them, look, even at a worst case scenario, we are still making money. Okay, or maybe it's how many beds need to be full. If I'm projecting to have 16 beds, can I still make money at 8 beds? What if I'm really bad at marketing? Can I still make money at 8? What about 6? What number is my break even, right? So if I know that I'm cutting back all my expenses, I'm cutting back my labor, all these things because I'm like in some COVID situation or some worst case scenario. If I can say, hey, at this number, it's only like what is it, like maybe 35% occupancy, I can still break even, right? Like, okay, cool. The odds that we get to 35% occupancy are very, very low, but it could happen, right? The odds that we have to charge $1,000 less than you're telling me, it could happen, right? But so I'm showing him, hey, there's a very good chance we're going to be here, but even if things go so bad and they're way down here, we're still going to make some money. Then I want to show the top, right? Okay, here's where we're going to start at, right? But once we built a good reputation, I really think that we're going to be here, right? Okay, if I was showing 65, I think, in 2 years we'll be at 75, right? And we're going to make an extra, $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month or whatever it is, right? Like show them like, hey, by the time we want to exit this deal, and we haven't talked about this yet, but what is your projection for how long are their capital going to be in there? So if you're going to say, some loose numbers, whatever you want to say, hey, I'm planning to own this for 5 years or 10 years, right? In 5 or 10 years, we're going to be at this number, right? The equity is going to be here. The cash flow is going to be here. And there's going to be a huge exit play for us on this deal. So I want to show what's normal, what's worst case scenario, and what's best case scenario. And then talk through what's going on with my computer here. Let me fix this.
Okay.
And then I want to talk through all these different circumstances here. There we go. Okay. Technical difficulties. So that's what I do with these financials. My whole objective is to say your money is super safe and you're going to make a great return on this, right? And I'm using the numbers to show that. And again, honestly, it comes back to the better your deal is, the less you have to be so sophisticated and have all the right words together. You could literally stumble through this so bad, but if you have a great deal, people are going to be excited about it, right? Like we buy discounted real estate also, right? So if someone comes to me and says, hey, Brett, I got this deal under contract and I want you to buy it from me. And, it needs 20 grand worth of work, but I can sell it to you for 200 grand. And after you put in 20 grand, it's going to be worth 400 grand. I'll be like, cool, all day long. I won't buy in that no matter what. I will do whatever I can to get the 200 grand to buy that property, right? Because it's at a discount. You are making a great return. It's a home run deal. It's the same principle here. If you have a home run of a deal, people will be interested, right? So really it's just about taking action, getting yourself into a right niche where you can have a home run deal, and then just opening your mouth, putting some money or some time into these tools and getting out there and just showing your journey. And promise you don't have to have all your ducks in a row. You don't have to be perfect at this. You can literally stumble through it and people will listen, because really the only people who are listening to you anyways are people who already like you and know you and trust you. So they're going to listen to you regardless.